Yo, 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 YouTube, we're back. We're taking you back into Highway 83 world. Come on with me, come on now. All right, that's what we're talking about. We got a new video for you today. We're talking about that common issue plaguing the trackers and sidekicks, that wallowed out keyway. That's a key, that's the keyway. She gets wobbly, it's trouble. Let's get into this video. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get down to business. Again, we are discussing the wallowed out keyway, and if you want to come in and get a close-up, this is a catastrophically damaged keyway. They normally do not look this terrible, but this is damaged. This is where the key would go. And if you can back up now with the camera, thank you. This is the crank bolt. Now what had happened was they messed up on the torque specifications on this bolt in the service manual. At first they had 52 pounds, then they moved to 81 pounds, and both of them were not enough. The final torque that they came up with is 94 pounds is the correct torque specification. So what happens is, over time, this bolt backs out, and allowing the crank gear, this is where the timing belt rides on, it starts chattering around and eats away on the keyway. This also happens if a shade tree backyard mechanic gets a little squirrely and doesn't torque this bolt. He just doesn't even give a flying hoot. He's just, whoop, that's tight enough, call it a day. Nah, this has to be dead nuts accurate. Dead balls, 94 pounds, you heard me? So that's the problem. It happens on a lot of vehicles, and a lot of guys get into having to replace the crankshaft, but it's always worth a shot of doing this fix you're gonna see today, which I've done many a times. I've never done one this bad, but for video presentation, this is what I have available today, so we're gonna do it, and it's still worth a shot, because if you have to take the whole crankshaft out, you're looking into a big, expensive project. Today, this is not gonna cost you very much to give it a whirl. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have our key in there. We're gonna take our 2-part epoxy JB weld. You're gonna want this or a similar brand. You're gonna take your brake clean or another cleaner of some type. You're gonna clean up this whole area so that we can mix up our JB weld. And what we're gonna do is fill in this area. Some guys actually filled this in with actual weld, which you can do if you have the skill. A lot of times just the JB weld is gonna do the trick, so this is what I'm gonna show you today. So we are gonna move on to the next step. Okay guys, I'm gonna show you again. This is just a demonstration video, so not everything's gonna be perfect, but I'm gonna go through the steps of getting the repair done. It's gonna take a lot longer due to setup times on the epoxy and the cleaning, and get everything much more accurate when you're doing it, but for the video, these are the steps. So first thing, you're gonna take your brake cleaner, and you wanna make sure this is the snout, I like to call it. You're gonna clean off your snout real nice so that your epoxy is gonna be able to stick. So you have your key, you're gonna have brake cleaner, clean off all your key as well. And now you have your 2-part epoxy. I'm sure you guys, Geo Tracker owners, epoxy all kinds of great stuff, so equal amounts. And then you're gonna mix her up, get a good batch going, you know what I'm saying, get her nice and good. So you're gonna mix it up till she's nice and even color. And you want a nice applicator. I was eating cheese crackers last night, so this is a little snack from a cheese cracker, but it'll work perfect. So again, you wanna get this to the right consistency, and then you're basically just gonna be filling in your area of wear. And depending on how bad your wear is, that's how much you need, and some hopefully you don't take much. Again, this one is catastrophic, so you're gonna need a big old goober of it. So we're gonna do that. You're gonna let it dry a little bit, you're gonna clean it off and even it all up and get it as close as you can to even. And you're probably gonna have to do this 2 or 3 times. So we're gonna let it set up, push it in there. We're gonna use our stick again, make it as even as possible. It's gonna take a little while for it to get hard enough to even up, and then we're gonna come back to the next step. All right. So here's where we're at. This was a badly damaged one again. So this is gonna take a couple steps where we did the initial build-up on the JB Weld. We're gonna let that dry 4 to 6 hours, possibly overnight. Then we're gonna come back. We're gonna sand this down a little bit. Get a little sand her down. Then we're gonna brew up another batch. Put that on top of it, build it up a little bit more, because if you do too much at one time, it's just not going to work. It's just too much. If it's a small thing, you can get her in the first shot. But so we're gonna not today on the video, but I would let this dry, sand it, come back with another batch, build it up again, sand that. If that's nice and smooth, perfectly circular, then you're done. If you need a third time, that's what it takes. But you don't want to rush this part. You want to make sure you give that. I always give it 24 hours. I'm usually not in a big rush. So I give that 24 hours for the full cure. And then you're good. Then you want to sand it up. Make sure you got the perfect circle going on. Make sure your key is perfectly lined up. Everything's good. And then the next part you're going to need 640 or 660 Loctite. This is basically... You're gonna want to make sure your timing gear is in perfect condition. A lot of times the key slot in here also gets chattered out, wallowed out from the key smacking around, bing, da, ding, da, ding, da, ding, ding. So you want a perfect gear. This has to be dead nuts so that the key is sliding in there and there's no wiggle room. So make sure you replace this if yours is damaged, which it probably is. So you're gonna get your Loctite. I have always used 640. A lot of guys use 660, 660s for a little bit larger tolerances, but for the most part, when you do the JB Weld, that swallows up the gap, that the tolerance that you're looking for. So this works really good. I have never had one back off even after 5 or 6 years. So now we're gonna get into the next step of applying this bad stuff, right? This stuff's good stuff. It's bad, but it's good. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's get into the next step.
Yeah.
Okay, we're putting on again, we're gonna use brake cleaner. We're gonna clean this all off, make sure it's perfect with the JB Weld. Before we get to this next step, we're gonna take our Loctite. We're gonna smother this gear with it. We're gonna smother the snout with it. We just put this on there. You probably don't wanna use your finger, but I'm a badass. I'll finger it. You know what I'm saying, I finger stuff. You know what I'm saying. So you're just gonna smother the whole thing with Loctite. Smother this whole thing with Loctite. Don't skimp out here. This is basically just gluing your gear to the crankshaft. Then you're gonna pump it. You're gonna slide her home. Boom, she's home. Now you have your bolt. The bolt also, of course, has to be in great condition. Not gonna lie to you, a lot of times I put Loctite, standard Loctite, high strength, on the threads of this, so this cannot back out, because, you know, that's what we're fixing. You want to put your Loctite on the threads, thread it in, and then get your torque wrench and blast her down to 94 foot-pounds. Then after this is all said and done, then I let that dry for a little while as well. You can read the Loctite thing. I don't know what the hell it says on here, but 15, I don't know what the hell it says. I give it another 24 hours. You know, you came this far, let that stuff dry. So crank the living hell out of it. 94 foot-pounds. She's Loctited on. She's glued in there. The chattering, it's got nowhere to go. The JB Weld is basically trapped. It's trapped by this bolt with the big washer. It's trapped inside the gear. It's trapped in the back. It can't go anywhere. So it works very effectively, surprisingly. It doesn't sound like it would work, but it does a great job. Before doing this, if you wanted to replace the oil pump or that oil seal, very good time to do that, because once you do all this, you're not going to want to take this back off. So I normally do the oil pump, water pump. Obviously, you're going to do a brand new timing belt. I've got videos on how to replace the timing belt and all that great stuff. So check out our 83 timing belt videos, setting the timing, yada, yada, yada. But this will save you. I mean, you buy it from a guy like, oh man, this thing's chattering. I don't know, the engine's shot, the engine's junk, blah, blah, blah. And you're just like, well, dude, I got a little epoxy at home. I got Loctite 640, 660. I'll smother it, I'll crank her down. A week later, you're just You're shifting gears, you're drinking beers, everyone's happy, man. Trust me, it works. But take your time, let the stuff dry, do it right, do it the first time. Take your time, do it right. And it will work, and you will be commenting on this video saying, dude, that was sweet. And I'll be like, Highway 83 don't steer you wrong, man. So thank you for watching our video. We'll be back with some more. Subscribe to the channel, Crack a Miller High Life, and you know how it goes. Check you later.